The pink onesie feels like a slap across my face. I stare at the delicate embroidery. Emma, written in perfect cursive, and something cold settles in my stomach. Our son Noah is barely 2 weeks old. Do you like it? Ryan asks, his smile too bright, too eager. He's standing in our bedroom doorway, watching me unwrap his special gift with those earnest blue eyes that used to make me melt. Now they just make me want to scream. I'm Victoria, and 5 minutes ago I thought I had a perfect life. It's pink, I manage, my fingers tracing the letters. Each loop of the E feels like a knife twisting deeper. And it says Emma. Oh! Ryan's face drops for a split second before he recovers. Must be a mix-up at the store. I'll return it tomorrow. I fold the onesie carefully, methodically, buying time while my mind races. The embroidery is custom. You had to special order this. Come on, Vic. I've been working 60-hour weeks. I probably grabbed the wrong package at the boutique. He crosses the room, reaching for the gift box. Give it here, I'll sort it out. I pull back, clutching the onesie to my chest. Who's Emma? Jesus, you're being paranoid. He laughs, but it sounds hollow. Sleep deprivation getting to you? From the nursery, Noah starts crying. Ryan immediately backs toward the door. I should check on him. I just fed him. He's fine. My voice comes out steadier than I feel. Who is Emma, Ryan? He runs a hand through his perfectly styled hair. A tell I've learned means he's scrambling for words. This is ridiculous. I made a mistake with a baby gift, that's all. You don't make mistakes like this. I stand up, still holding the onesie. You're the most detail-oriented person I know. It's why you're the top realtor at your firm. You triple-check everything. Maybe I'm slipping. He flashes that winning smile that closes million-dollar deals. Having a newborn does that to you. Does what? Makes you order pink clothes with another baby's name for your son? The crying from the nursery gets louder. Ryan gestures toward the sound. He needs us. Answer me! There's nothing to answer! He snaps, facade cracking. You're turning a simple mix-up into some kind of conspiracy theory. This isn't healthy, Vic. I walk to his closet, yanking open the drawer where he keeps his receipts. Another habit of his obsessive organization. The boutique receipt is right on top, dated 3 days ago. Custom embroidery for a pink onesie, size 003 months. You ordered this deliberately. My voice shakes now. Why? He grabs the receipt from my hand, crumpling it. Stop this. You're being hysterical. Hysterical? I laugh, and it sounds slightly unhinged even to my ears. Our son is 2 weeks old, and you're buying baby clothes for someone named Emma. What am I supposed to think? Nothing. You're supposed to think nothing because there's nothing to think about. He's shouting now, matching Noah's wails. This is exactly why I've been working late. You've been impossible since the baby came. The words hit like a physical blow. I step back, bumping into his dresser. A frame tips over, our wedding photo. 3 years ago, both of us beaming at the camera, so sure of our future. How long? I whisper. How long what? How long have you been lying to me? He stares at me for a long moment, jaw working. Then he turns and walks out, calling over his shoulder. I'm going to check on my son. When you've calmed down, we can discuss your paranoid delusions. I watch him go, still clutching the pink onesie. Through the wall, I hear him cooing to Noah, his voice gentle and loving, everything a father should be. But all I can see is that name, Emma, mocking me with its perfect stitches, unraveling everything I thought I knew about my life. I sit on the edge of our bed, smoothing the soft fabric across my lap. Somewhere in this city, there's another nursery being prepared. Another woman expecting a baby girl. And my husband knows exactly who she is. 3 days after finding the pink onesie, I'm sitting across from Linda at her kitchen table, watching her hands shake as she pours tea. The china cup rattles against its saucer, the good set she only brings out for serious conversations. Ryan's been different lately, I say, measuring each word. Have you noticed? Linda's eyes dart to the window, then back to me. Different how? Working late. Distracted. He bought. I stop, my throat tight. He ordered baby clothes. Pink ones. With another name on them. The teacup freezes halfway to her lips. Something flickers across her face. Not surprise, I realize with a cold certainty. Recognition. Victoria, dear. She sets the cup down without drinking. Marriage isn't always easy, especially with a new baby. That's not an answer. She smooths the tablecloth. A nervous gesture I've never seen before. What exactly are you asking me? I'm asking if you know something about Ryan, about. I force the name out. Emma. The color drains from her face. I think you should talk to Ryan about this. I tried. He called me paranoid, hysterical. My laugh comes out bitter. Blamed it on postpartum hormones. Linda stands abruptly, busying herself at the sink. Men can be insensitive sometimes. When Tom and I were first married. Please don't. My voice cracks. Don't make excuses for him. Just tell me the truth. She turns, and I see tears in her eyes. What truth would help right now? What could I possibly say that wouldn't make things worse? The confirmation in her evasion hits me like a physical blow. You knew he was. I can't finish the sentence. I suspected. She whispers it like a confession. The way he talked about his new interior designer at work. How defensive he got when Tom mentioned seeing him downtown with a woman last month. My hands curl into fists under the table. Last month? When I was 8 months pregnant? I told myself I was imagining things, that Ryan would never. She breaks off, wiping her eyes. He's my son. I wanted to believe the best. And what about me? The words taste like ash. Aren't I your daughter too? 3 years of Sunday dinners and holiday traditions, and you just watched him lie to me? Victoria! The front door opens, and Tom's voice booms through the house. Linda, is that Victoria's car outside? Linda's eyes go wide with panic. Please, she whispers. Don't tell Tom. He'll never forgive Ryan. I stand up so quickly, my chair scrapes against the floor. Maybe Ryan doesn't deserve forgiveness. Tom appears in the doorway, his usual stern expression softening at the sight of me. Where's my grandson? With Ryan. My voice sounds strange to my own ears. Having father-son bonding time. Everything all right? Tom's lawyer instincts kick in, reading the tension in the room. You both look fine. Linda cuts in too quickly. Just discussing new mother things. You know how overwhelming it can be. I stare at her. This woman who welcomed me into her family, who held my hand through labor, who's now choosing to protect her son's lies instead of my truth. Actually, I was just leaving. Stay for dinner, Tom insists. Ryan can bring Noah over. We'll make it a family night. Family! The word echoes hollowly. What kind of family builds itself on secrets and silence? I can't! I grab my purse, needing to escape before I scream or cry or both. Noah has a doctor's appointment. On a Sunday. Tom's eyebrows furrow. I meant tomorrow. I need to prepare. I'm already moving toward the door. Thank you for the tea, Linda. She calls after me. Victoria, wait! But I'm already gone, practically running to my car. Inside, I grip the steering wheel until my knuckles turn white, trying to steady my breathing. My phone buzzes. A text from Ryan. Where are you? Noah's fussy. I stare at the message, remembering all the times he texted me from work these past months. Was he with her then? Planning for their baby while I carried his son? Another text appears. Mom says you were just there. Everything okay? I switch off my phone and start the car. Linda chose her side. Now I need to choose mine. And Ryan's about to learn that calling his wife paranoid was the biggest mistake of his life. Ryan's phone lies heavy in my palm at 3 a.m. He's in the shower. His third night shower this week, always after those late client meetings. The lock screen shows Noah's face, a perfect mask of fatherly devotion. I know his password, have known it for years. His birthday backwards. So predictable for someone who thinks he's clever. My fingers shake as I type it in. The messages load instantly. Hundreds of them, all to someone saved as C Interior Design. My throat closes as I scroll, each text a fresh wound. Miss you already. Can't wait to feel her kick again. Our little Emma's going to be perfect. Pictures follow. A nursery in progress. Walls half painted in soft pink. Chloe. I recognize her from Ryan's office party last year. Standing sideways, hand on her pregnant belly. Ryan's arm around her waist, his smile brighter than any he's given me since Noah was born. The shower stops. I should put the phone down, pretend I never saw. But my fingers keep scrolling, desperate for the full scope of his betrayal. A video starts playing before I can stop it. Chloe's voice fills the silence. Say hi to Daddy. I fumble to mute it, but Ryan's already opening the bathroom door. Steam billows out behind him as he freezes, seeing his phone in my hands. What are you doing? I hold up the screen, showing him the paused video. Meeting clients at midnight, Ryan? He grabs for the phone, but I pull back. You're going through my private messages? That's illegal. Illegal? I laugh, the sound sharp and foreign. You want to talk about wrong choices? Give me the phone, Victoria. How far along is she? His jaw clenches. You're being 7 months? I cut him off. That's what the messages say, which means while I was dealing with morning sickness, you were getting her pregnant. It's not that simple. Really? Because the math seems pretty straightforward. He runs a hand through his wet hair, water dripping onto his shoulders. I was going to tell you. When? After Emma was born? Or were you planning to keep your second family secret forever? Lower your voice, he hisses. You'll wake Noah. Now you care about Noah? I stand up, phone clutched to my chest. Where was that concern when you were playing house with your designer? I never stopped caring about Noah. He steps closer, voice dropping to that soothing tone he uses on nervous clients. Or you. Things just happened. Things happened? My voice rises despite his warning. You accidentally fell into another woman? Accidentally got her pregnant? Accidentally ordered matching baby clothes? Give me the phone and we can discuss this rationally. Like you rationally discussed it with your mother. He stills. What? Linda knows. She's been covering for you. The betrayal tastes bitter on my tongue. Your whole family's been watching you destroy ours. That's not... He lunges suddenly, grabbing for the phone. I stumble backward, hitting the dresser. The wedding photo crashes to the floor, glass shattering. Noah's cry pierces the air. Now look what you did! Ryan snaps, reaching for the phone again. I dodge him, running for the nursery. Don't you dare blame this on me! He follows, but I'm already at Noah's crib, scooping up our son. Stay back. You're being hysterical. He holds out his hand. Give me the phone, take care of Noah, and we can talk about this tomorrow when you're calmer. Calmer? I clutch Noah closer as he whimpers. You have another baby on the way, and you want me to be calm. It was a mistake. Which part? Getting her pregnant or getting caught? His face hardens. You really want to do this now? Fine. Yes, Chloe's pregnant. Yes, it's mine. I didn't plan it, but I'm not walking away from my daughter. The casual cruelty of his honesty stuns me silent. I still love you, he continues, softer now. We can work through this, for Noah's sake. I look down at our son, his tiny face scrunched in confusion at the tension around him. Then at Ryan's phone, still displaying evidence of his other life, his other child. You're right, I say finally. We should discuss this tomorrow. Relief floods his face as I hold out the phone, but as his fingers close around it, I meet his eyes. And Ryan, pack a bag. You're not sleeping here tonight. Victoria. Or I'll send these messages to every contact in your phone, including your clients. I turn away, focusing on soothing Noah. Your choice. Behind me, I hear him curse softly, then the sound of drawers opening. I keep my back turned until the front door clicks shut, leaving me alone with our son and the shattered remains of our marriage. Tom's law office feels like a confessional, all dark wood and heavy silence. He studies the photos on his desk, screenshots from Ryan's phone that I printed this morning. Each image lands like a gavel strike. The nursery, the ultrasound, the intimate moments I was never meant to see. 7 months, Tom says finally, his lawyer's composure cracking. While you were carrying his son. I twist my wedding ring, a nervous habit I can't shake. Linda knew. Linda? His head snaps up. My Linda? She suspected, chose to stay quiet. The betrayal still tastes bitter. To protect him, Tom stands abruptly, pacing behind his desk. That's why she's been acting strange. All those whispered phone calls. He stops, facing the window. I saw them, Ryan and this woman, downtown, outside that new French restaurant. When? 3 months ago. He said she was a client. A harsh laugh escapes him. I believed him, even when she touched his arm, laughed too loudly at his jokes. I convinced myself I was being paranoid. Ha! That seems to be going around. I pull out one final photo. Ryan and Chloe kissing in what looks like an office. He's been staging properties for her design company. Tom turns, his expression hardening. The Anderson project? The one that got him promoted? I nod. Apparently, sleeping with the interior designer has its perks. Son of a... He cuts himself off. Lawyer mode engaging. Have you spoken to a divorce attorney? Not yet. I wanted to talk to you first. Smart girl. He sits back down, pulling out a legal pad. Ryan's name is on the house deed, but with proof of infidelity and the timing with Noah's birth. We can... I don't want his money. The words come out sharper than intended. I want him to feel what I'm feeling, to lose everything like I did. Tom's pen stills. Revenge won't give you peace, Victoria. Neither will letting him walk away to his perfect new family. No. He sets the pen down carefully. But it might give Noah a chance at having his father in his life. His father? I laugh bitterly. You mean the man who's building a nursery across town while I'm up all night with his son? Who's picking out names for his daughter while telling me I'm paranoid for questioning him? Victoria! A knock interrupts us. Linda appears in the doorway, her face falling as she sees me. I didn't know you had a client. Not a client. Tom's voice is ice. Our daughter-in-law, showing me some interesting photos of our son. Linda pales. Tom, I can explain. Can you? He stands again, trembling with barely contained rage. Explain why you kept this from me? From Victoria? I thought... She steps into the office, closing the door. I thought if I gave him time, he'd end it, come to his senses. And when he didn't? I asked quietly. When you found out about the baby? Tears spill down her cheeks. I'm so sorry. I was trying to protect everyone. By protecting him, Tom corrects. Always him, even now. He's our son. And what about our grandson? Tom's voice rises. What about Victoria? When did they stop deserving protection? Linda collapses into a chair, sobbing. I didn't know what to do. He's always been so fragile, ever since Mark. Don't. Tom cuts her off sharply. Don't use his brother's death to excuse this. I look between them, sensing an old wound reopening. What about Mark? Ryan's older brother, Tom says after a long pause, died in a car accident when Ryan was 16. Linda's been overprotective ever since. He needed me, Linda whispers. And now he needs consequences. Tom returns to his desk, pulling out more papers. Victoria, I'm going to give you some names. Excellent divorce attorneys. But first, he fixes me with a stern look. What exactly do you want? I think of Noah, sleeping peacefully at the neighbor's house. Of Ryan's smug certainty that I'd never leave him. Of Linda's tears and misplaced loyalty. I want him to lose everything, I say slowly. His reputation, his promotion, his perfect image. I want everyone to see him for what he really is. Tom nods, understanding darkening his features. Then we'll need a plan, one that can't be traced back to you. Linda makes a small broken sound. You're going to help her destroy our son? No, Tom replies, already writing. I'm going to help her survive him. The weight of their broken family settles around us like dust, and I realize there's no going back now. Ryan's not the only one with secrets anymore. Chloe's design studio looks exactly like her Instagram photos, all clean lines and muted pastels. I watch through the window as she moves between fabric samples, one hand absently rubbing her pregnant belly. Ryan's baby, my replacement family. Tom's words echo in my head. Are you sure about this? But I'm already pushing open the door, setting off a delicate wind chime. Chloe turns, professional smile freezing as recognition hits. Victoria, you know who I am. It's not a question. She straightens, protective hands crossing over her stomach. Ryan told me you might come. Did he tell you about Noah too? Or did that detail slip his mind? Color drains from her face. I don't want any trouble. Funny, neither did I. I move closer, studying the ultrasound photo pinned to her mood board. Emma's a beautiful name. Please leave. Her voice shakes. I'll call security. Go ahead. I'm sure they'd love to hear how you and Ryan secured the Anderson contract. Those late-night design meetings must have been very productive. She sinks into a chair, defeat replacing fear. You don't understand. Try me, he said. She swallows hard. He said you were separated, that you'd agreed to divorce months ago, but wanted to wait until after the baby, after Noah was born. I laugh, sharp and hollow. And you believed him? He showed me papers, said you'd signed them. What papers? She reaches for her phone, hands trembling as she pulls up photos. Divorce papers, dated 6 months ago, with what looks like my signature at the bottom. My stomach lurches. That's forged. What? I never signed anything. I grab her phone, zooming in. He copied my signature from our mortgage documents. Chloe makes a small, broken sound. No? He wouldn't. Like he wouldn't sleep with his interior designer while his wife was pregnant? Like he wouldn't build a nursery across town for his second child? Stop! She stands abruptly, swaying slightly. You need to go. Why? Because the truth hurts? Because I'm having contractions. The words hit like a slap. I look closer. Her face is pale, beaded with sweat. You're only 7 months. 7.5. She grips the desk. And this isn't the first time. Doctor said stress could trigger early labor. Something shifts in my chest. Not quite sympathy, but recognition. Another woman trapped in Ryan's web of lies. Do you need a hospital? I need you to leave. Tears streak her makeup. Please, I can't. I can't process this right now. My phone buzzes. Ryan's name on the screen. Of course he knows I'm here. Probably has someone watching the studio. He's calling you too, isn't he? Chloe asks quietly. I show her my screen. She turns her phone around. Same caller. Perfect, Ryan, I say bitterly. Always trying to control everything. Everyone, she corrects, then doubles over with another contraction. I should leave. Let her deal with the consequences of sleeping with a married man. Let Ryan clean up his own mess. Instead, I find myself moving forward, supporting her weight. Where's your hospital bag? What? You're in premature labor. You need medical attention. The words taste like ash, but I continue. I'm taking you to the hospital. Why would you help me? Because I know what it's like to be pregnant and scared. Because Emma deserves better than her father's lies. Because revenge doesn't taste as sweet when there's an innocent life at stake. I don't say any of this. Instead, I grab her bag from behind the desk, already packed, another sign of her high-risk pregnancy, and guide her toward the door. Victoria? Her voice is small, pained. There's something else you should know. About Ryan. About why he… My phone buzzes again. This time it's Tom. Don't do anything rash. New information about Ryan's past. Call me immediately. But Chloe's gripping my arm, face contorted in pain. And whatever secrets are lurking in Ryan's history, will have to wait. Tell me later, I say, helping her to my car. Right now, we need to make sure Emma's okay. As we drive away, I catch a glimpse of a familiar car in the rearview mirror. Ryan's BMW. turning into the studio parking lot. Let him wonder where we've gone. Let him feel what it's like to be powerless for once. Besides, I think grimly, steering toward the hospital, there's more than one way to destroy a man's carefully constructed lies. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting the truth come to light on its own. The hospital waiting room feels like purgatory. I've been here 6 hours, watching doctors rush past, ignoring Ryan's increasingly frantic calls. Tom's message still burns in my mind. New information about Ryan's past. Chloe's in emergency surgery. Placental abruption, they said. Critical, but stable. Mrs. Sanders? I look up. A nurse stands there, clipboard in hand. I'm not her family. You're listed as her emergency contact. She consults her notes. Added this afternoon. Before I can process this, Ryan bursts through the doors, Linda trailing behind him. He spots me and freezes. Where is she? Surgery. My voice sounds distant, hollow. They're trying to save your daughter. Linda makes a small, broken sound. Ryan steps forward, face twisted with something between rage and fear. This is your fault, if you hadn't upset her. My fault. I stand, weeks of anger suddenly boiling over. You forged divorce papers, you built a life on lies, and you dare blame me? What papers? Linda asks, but Ryan talks over her. I was going to tell you everything, after Emma. After what? After you had your perfect new family? Your do-over baby? Don't. His voice drops dangerously. Don't talk about Emma like that. Why not? Isn't that what this is about? Replacing your brother's memory with a daughter named after him? The words hang in the air like smoke. Linda gasps. Ryan's face goes white. Tom told you. No. I laugh bitterly. Chloe did, right before she started bleeding. Told me all about how you convinced her to name the baby Emma, after your brother Mark's daughter, the one who died with him in that car crash. Ryan grabs my arm, fingers digging in. You don't know what you're talking about. Let go of her. Tom's voice cuts through the tension. He stands in the doorway, holding a manila envelope. Or should we add assault to the list of charges? Charges? Linda steps between us. What charges? Tom opens the envelope, pulling out documents. Fraud, for starters. Those forged divorce papers. Then there's the Anderson contract. Interesting how it was awarded right after you started sleeping with the interior designer. You can't prove anything, Ryan snarls, but his grip loosens. Actually, I can. I pull out my phone, playing a recording. Chloe's voice fills the space. He showed me papers, said you'd signed them. Ryan lunges for the phone, but Tom blocks him. That's inadmissible. In court, maybe. Tom's voice is ice. But I'm sure the ethics board would be interested, and your clients, and the press. A doctor appears, still in surgical scrubs. Family of Chloe Mitchell? Ryan turns, mask of concern sliding back into place. I'm the father. The baby's stable, but critical. We had to deliver early. Ms. Mitchell is asking for Victoria. Me? I blink. Why? Because. Chloe's lawyer steps into the waiting room, another envelope in hand. She's naming Victoria as Emma's guardian, in case anything happens. The room spins. Ryan makes a sound like he's been punched. She can't do that, he protests. I'm the father. An unmarried father, the lawyer corrects, who committed fraud and whose name isn't on any prenatal documents. Ms. Mitchell's wishes are quite clear. I stare at the papers being thrust into my hands. Guardian. For my husband's daughter with another woman. The revenge I wanted now feels like ashes in my mouth. Victoria, Ryan's voice breaks. Please, she's my daughter. My chance to make things right. Right? I turn to him, seeing him clearly for the first time. Not a monster, just a broken man trying to rebuild his life with lies. You can't replace what you lost, Ryan. Not with Emma, not with Noah, not with any number of perfect families. The doctor clears his throat. Ms. Mitchell is waiting. I look at the papers in my hands, then at Linda's tears, Tom's grim determination, Ryan's desperation. 3 weeks ago, I had a perfect life. Now I'm standing in a hospital, holding guardianship papers for my husband's premature daughter, while my newborn son sleeps at home with a neighbor. Take me to Chloe, I say finally. As I follow the doctor, I hear Ryan collapse into a chair, Linda's soft consolations, Tom's heavy sigh. The weight of their broken family, our broken family, settles onto my shoulders like a shroud. Some revenge stories, I'm learning, have no winners, only survivors. Chloe's hospital room is dimly lit, machines beeping steadily. She looks small against the white sheets, nothing like the confident woman from her design studio. Emma? Her voice cracks. Stable, in NICU. I hover by the door, unsure of my place in this twisted scenario. Why me? For guardianship? Because you'll protect her. She shifts, wincing. From him, from becoming another replacement. The door opens. Ryan stands there, looking wrecked. Chloe, please! Don't! She tries to sit up, monitor alarms spiking. You lied to me, about everything. I loved you, love you both. Like you loved your brothers, Emma? The words hit him like physical blows. Tell her, Ryan. Tell Victoria about the first Emma. He grabs the doorframe, knuckles white. This isn't the time. My daughter's fighting for her life because of your lies. Chloe's voice strengthens with anger. Tell her why you really chose me, why you needed another Emma. I watch him crumble, the perfect facade finally shattering. Mark was driving. The night of the accident. My niece Emma was in the back seat. Ryan! Linda appears behind him, reaching out. He jerks away. I was supposed to be there, was supposed to pick them up, but I had a date. Mark covered for me, like always. The perfect older brother, Chloe says bitterly. Until he wasn't. I saw Chloe at a client meeting. Ryan's words tumble out now, unstoppable. She looked like Mark's wife. Same smile. When she said she'd always wanted a daughter. You saw your chance, I finish. To rewrite history. I could make it right. Give Emma the life she lost. By lying? Chloe's monitor spikes again. By manipulating me? Creating some sick replacement family while your wife carried your son? I never meant to get caught. Tom's voice cuts through. He enters, holding more papers. The ethics board disagreed. They've suspended your license pending investigation. Ryan spins toward him. You didn't. I did. Tom's face is stone. Someone had to stop this madness. It's not madness, Ryan shouts. It's fixing things, making them right. By destroying more lives? I step between him and Chloe's bed. Noah and Emma deserve better than being pieces in your redemption story. Noah, he laughs, hollow. The son I never wanted? Another replacement? Courtesy of your biological clock? The room goes silent. Linda gasps. There it is. My voice is steady, surprising me. The truth, finally. Victoria. He reaches for me, but I step back. No. You don't get to touch me, not after that. I turn to Chloe. I accept the guardianship for both children. What? Ryan lunges forward. Tom catches his arm. Joint custody, I continue, between me and Chloe, once she's recovered. You can't. We can. Chloe's lawyer appears, right on cue. The papers are filed. Given the circumstances, the fraud, the ethics violation, your documented instability, I'm their father. A father who sees his children as replacements for his dead niece. Tom's voice cracks like a whip. The court will love that. Ryan crumples into a chair, head in his hands. Linda moves to comfort him, but stops, torn between her son and the wreckage he's created. Get out! Chloe's voice is weak but firm. All of you, except Victoria. They file out, Tom steering Ryan, Linda lingering at the door before following. The lawyer nods, promising to return later. In the sudden quiet, Chloe's monitors steady. I'm sorry, she whispers. For what? Falling for his lies. Helping him hurt you. You were manipulated. We both were. I sink into the chair beside her bed. But our children won't be. She reaches for my hand, surprising me. Noah and Emma. Real people, not replacements. Real siblings, I correct, surprising myself more. Whether Ryan likes it or not. Outside the room, I hear Ryan's broken sobs, Linda's soft murmurs, Tom's firm voice handling details. The family I thought I had crumbling, while something new and unexpected takes shape in its place. Victoria? Chloe's grip tightens. Promise me something? What? Help me make sure Emma knows her own story, not the one Ryan tried to write for her. I think of Noah at home, of the pink onesie that started this all, of the twisted path that led us here. I promise, they'll both know the truth, the real story. Not a revenge story after all, but something more complicated. A story of healing, maybe, of choosing truth over perfect lies. The pink onesie sits on my kitchen table, next to divorce papers and custody agreements. 3 weeks since the hospital, since everything changed. Noah sleeps in his bassinet nearby, while I pack the last of Ryan's things. The doorbell rings. Linda stands there, looking older than I've ever seen her. He's in therapy, she says without preamble. Grief counseling. For Mark, finally. Good. I mean it, surprisingly. Come in, Noah just ate. She hesitates at the threshold. I wasn't sure I'd be welcome. You're still his grandmother. I step aside. And Emma's too, if you want to be. Her eyes fill with tears. How is she? Getting stronger? Chloe's moving into the guest house next week. I lead her to the kitchen. The doctors say Emma can come home soon. Linda spots the onesie, reaching for it with trembling fingers. I remember when the first Emma wore something like this. I'm not trying to replace her. The words come out sharper than intended. Neither of them are replacements. I know. She sets the onesie down carefully. That's why I trust you with them both. The front door opens. Tom, carrying moving boxes. He pauses, seeing Linda, then continues to Ryan's office. We listen to him work in silence. I found this. Linda pulls out an old photo. Mark and Ryan at the lake house. Before everything. 2 brothers grin at the camera, arms around each other. Ryan looks young, unburdened, happy. He was different then, Linda whispers. After the accident, he just stopped dealing with it, started trying to fix everything instead. By controlling it. Yes. She touches the photo gently. I enabled him. Thought if I just loved him enough, protected him enough. You can't fix someone by hiding their broken pieces. Tom returns, carrying Ryan's awards from the real estate firm. Where should these go? Storage, I decide, in case Noah or Emma want them someday. He nods, understanding what I'm not saying. Their father's legacy, complicated, painful, but still theirs to know. My phone buzzes. Chloe, sending a NICU photo. Emma's tiny hand wrapped around her finger. I show Linda, watching her face soften. She looks strong, Linda says, like her mother. Both her mothers, Tom corrects quietly. The doorbell rings again. This time it's Ryan, here for his boxes. He looks thinner, shadows under his eyes. I'll get the rest, Tom says, steering Linda toward the nursery, giving us space. Ryan spots the onesie, flinching. You kept it. For Emma, the real Emma. I fold it carefully. Not the one you imagined. He nods, throat working. The therapist says I've been chasing ghosts, trying to rewrite endings. And now I'm trying to learn how to live with the real story. He picks up a box, pausing. Will you tell them about Mark someday? The good parts? Yes, when they're old enough to understand. That their father's broken? That everyone is, in different ways. I meet his eyes. It's what we do with our broken pieces that matters. He starts to reach for Noah's bassinet, then stops himself. I'd like to see them sometimes, when I'm better. We'll talk about it, with the lawyers and therapists. He accepts this with a nod, gathering his things. At the door, he turns back. I did love you, Victoria, just not enough to be honest. Not enough to face the truth. He shifts the box. Take care of them? Always. After he leaves, I return to the kitchen. Linda and Tom are back, watching Noah sleep. The pink onesie lies between us, no longer a symbol of betrayal, but something else. A bridge, maybe, between past and future. We should go, Linda says reluctantly. Unless you need help. Actually, I pick up Noah, making a decision. Would you like to come to the hospital? Emma's having a good day. Chloe said we could visit. Linda's face lights up. Tom squeezes her hand. As we leave, I grab the onesie. Not for the ghost of a little girl lost years ago, but for the real Emma fighting to come home. For the complicated, imperfect family we're becoming. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone's perfect lies. Sometimes it's about building something true from the wreckage they leave behind.
From a young age, I understood my place in the family hierarchy. My name is Stella, but most people call me Stella. I am the younger daughter in a family that, from the outside, might seem like your typical middle-class household. My older sister, Delilah, or Delilah as we call her, was always the shining star. 2 years my senior, she was endowed with golden locks that captured the sunlight perfectly in photographs, which our mother was always eager to share on social media or add to the family album. Although I was not without my charms, sporting dark hair, hazel eyes, and a distinctive look my aunt admired as interesting, in our home, being interesting was insufficient. Delilah was the benchmark of excellence, and I merely existed in her shadow. The favoritism displayed by our parents was unmistakable. Shopping sprees were reserved for Delilah's wardrobe needs, while my necessities were often postponed with a maybe next month, sweetie. Delilah received the larger bedroom for her academic needs and was gifted a car on her 15th birthday. I, on the other hand, received a watch, not even an impressive one. The disparity became painfully clear during our high school graduations. Delilah's graduation was marked by a lavish celebration, and our father announced they would finance her college education as she pursued a career in cake, proudly following in his footsteps. Cheers were raised for her prospective success. 2 years later, when I graduated with superior grades, the scene at our kitchen table was markedly different. As I laid out my college acceptance letters, my parents shared uneasy glances. "Honey," my mother began, avoiding eye contact, "we just can't afford college right now. The market's tough with Delilah's tuition." My father suggested I work to save money for my education. That night, devastated, I cried myself to sleep, vowing it would be the last time their favoritism would affect me so deeply. Determined, I began job hunting the following morning and soon secured a position as a cleaning at the Grand Plaza Hotel, our city's most prestigious hotel. While Delilah returned home after college to save money, I moved into a modest studio apartment across town. Living independently was challenging at first, but the freedom from constant comparison was refreshing. My modest home was truly my own, and each evening, exhausted yet fulfilled, I felt a surge of pride in my self-sufficiency. At work, I embraced every task as a chance to learn everything about the hotel receptionist. My diligence did not go unnoticed. "Stella, you're the only one who consistently gets perfect room inspection scores," Mrs. Natalie, the head house cook, remarked after just 4 months. My approach was simple. Treat every room as if I were the guest. This ethos not only earned me a promotion within 3 months, but also introduced me to intriguing individuals like Angel, a distinguished guest in room 964, who noticed my exceptional service. His acknowledgement was just the beginning of a new chapter, one where my efforts were recognized and valued, irrespective of the shadows cast by familial expectations. One morning, while I was overseeing the 7th floor's cleaning, a guest caught my attention. "Miss, could I have a word?" he called out. What began as a simple query about extra towels evolved into a quarter-hour discussion on hotel operations. Day after day, our paths crossed, until on his 5th day, he casually invited me to dinner. "There's a lovely restaurant downtown," he suggested. Standing firm, I met his gaze and responded, "Mr. Richardson, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not interested in any short-term relationships during your stay. He took my refusal with a chuckle. Fair enough, but the invitation for dinner still stands. Nothing more. I declined respectfully, yet firmly, and throughout his 5-week stay, he remained amiable and respectful. Upon his departure, Mr. Richardson left me his business card, which I stowed away, thinking little of it. However, within weeks, my career began to accelerate unexpectedly. First, I was offered a front desk position, then rapidly ascended to lead the registration team, and soon after, became the assistant manager. Within just 4 months of Mr. Richardson's leave, I found myself managing the entire front office. The swift progression left me bewildered, although I knew my capabilities. Whispers and rumors began to circulate soon after. She must be involved with Mr. Andrew. One concierge speculated to another, suggesting our hotel's owner was the reason for my rapid promotions. Did you see how quickly she climbed the ladder? That doesn't happen without some sort of favor, they insinuated. Despite my efforts to disregard these whispers, they hurt. I had earned every promotion through hard work, dedication, and a thorough understanding of hotel operations, yet rumors painted a different picture, one where my advancement was due to a supposed liaison with Mr. Andrew, whom I had barely met. One Monday, a sudden summons from Mr. Andrew's secretary had me apprehensive about potential bad news. I entered his office at the appointed time, finding him, a tall man in his 30s with discerning eyes, shuffling papers. "You've done exceptional work, Stella," he began, "but there's an issue we need to address about your role as front office manager." My heart sank, anticipating the revelation of my perceived underqualification. "It's time for you to go to college, Stella," he announced unexpectedly. Confused, I blinked. "The hotel will accommodate your schedule, of course. We want you to pursue your degree while maintaining your position here." His words, far from what I had feared, spun my head in a wholly different direction, offering an unexpected but welcome twist to my career path. I was at a loss for words when my boss unexpectedly thanked me. He grinned as he reached into his desk drawer. "I don't usually listen to others when it comes to staffing decisions, but someone convinced me to keep an eye on you," he explained as he handed me a business card. The phone number on it looked familiar. It was the same one Mr. Richardson had given me several months earlier. Later that evening, as I sat in my apartment, I gazed at the card for what seemed like an eternity. With trembling hands, I finally picked up my phone and dialed the number. "I've been expecting your call," a familiar voice greeted me warmly after just 2 rings. "Are you friends with Mr. Andrews?" I inquired, my voice shaky. Angel laughed softly. "We go back 30 years. When I recommend someone, he trusts my judgment. And just so you know, all your promotions were based on your own merit. I merely suggested he recognize your potential." We talked deep into the night. He shared how, during his time observing my work, he had been impressed by my keen eye for detail and innate leadership skills. I reminded him of his younger self, he said, with a similar zeal to overcome any challenge. A couple of days later, we revisited the restaurant where we first met. This time, I enrolled in a college program for hotel and restaurant management, inspired by our conversations. Angel was a pillar of support, offering both emotional and practical help. He shared invaluable business insights that went beyond any textbook. Our relationship evolved effortlessly. There were no grand gestures or pivotal moments. We simply grew closer each day. "Move in with me," he proposed casually one evening as we enjoyed the view from his penthouse balcony. 3 months after that initial phone call, we were married in an intimate, stylish ceremony. I moved from my small studio to his luxurious penthouse. "You've really hit the jackpot," my friend Anna remarked during one of our coffee meetups. "Successful, handsome, and genuinely kind. Men like that are rare." She wasn't wrong. Angel supported my studies, celebrated my professional successes, and always made me feel valued, a stark contrast to my childhood experiences. Our happiness seemed to stir up the dynamics at family gatherings. My sister Delilah, who had always been the center of attention, now seemed to struggle with her personal life despite a thriving career. I often caught her eyeing Angel and me with envy during our family dinners. The same sister who had once ignored me was now unable to hide her jealousy. Despite her constant need for attention, I couldn't help but notice Delilah closely scrutinizing my ring throughout the entire Christmas dinner. Angel later commented on it, saying, "Did you see how intently Delilah was looking at your ring? It was as if she wanted to bore a hole through it with her gaze." It's true, Delilah has always been accustomed to having the finest things, and I sighed, realizing she was struggling with not being the focus of everyone's attention anymore. The tension only escalated when my parents began their mission to find Delilah a husband. At every family gathering, my mother would take me aside and, in her overly sweet voice, hint, "Surely Angel has some nice, single friends. Delilah isn't getting any younger, you know?" My father was more straightforward, often saying, "Your sister deserves someone successful, like Angel. You should help her out. That's what families do." The irony of their words was not lost on me, especially considering these were the same parents who had not supported my education financially, but now wanted to leverage my connections for their favorite daughter. During an Easter dinner, Delilah cornered me in the kitchen and bluntly asked, "Why haven't you introduced me to any of Angel's friends?" I took a moment to really look at her. Her appearance was as flawless as ever, but there was a new desperation in her eyes I hadn't seen before. "Maybe because I don't want to manage someone else's romantic life," I responded cautiously. "Besides, relationships aren't just about finding someone wealthy." Delilah snapped back, frustrated. "Easy for you to say. You already landed a rich husband." I walked away from that conversation with a firm resolve to maintain my distance. Delilah's approach to finding a wealthy partner made me uncomfortable. It seemed more like a hunt for a prize rather than a search for genuine affection. I thought I had found my fairy tale ending, but over the next 4 years, subtle changes began to surface. Angel started coming home later, and his business trips became more frequent. Initially, I excused his absences. Busy periods at work were understandable. But his constant delays and excuses began to wear thin. "Sorry, darling, emergency board meeting," he would text, missing another dinner I had prepared. "This trip might extend to 5 weeks, he'd say, barely looking up from his phone. Our penthouse felt increasingly empty, the echo of my heels a stark reminder of my solitude. One night, I decided it was time for a candid conversation. I waited up for him, ready to address our issues. When he arrived home at 10:10 p.m., his expression was distant and cold. "Angel, we need to talk," I said, determined. "Yes, we do," he replied, his tone detached. What followed seemed like a scene from someone else's life, not mine. "I want a divorce," he stated emotionlessly. "I don't love you anymore. In fact, I'm not sure I ever did." His words felt like a physical blow. I stammered, "Angel, if there's a problem, we can fix it. There's always something to work on." "There's nothing to work on, Stella. It's over. My lawyer will contact you," he said, his decision final. Everything moved swiftly after that, and within days, our lives together began to unravel. I received divorce papers unexpectedly, which made me realize that the prenuptial agreement I had signed, thinking it was just a routine document, left me with no rights to any assets, not our shared apartment, not any of his wealth, nor even the furniture we had chosen together. In shock, I quickly packed my belongings into 1 suitcases. With no place else to go, I reluctantly called my parents. "Mom, Dad, I need to stay with you for a bit," I managed to say, trying to hide the tremor in my voice. "Just until I sort things out." The ensuing silence was a clear warning of their reaction. "Oh, honey," my mom responded with insincere sympathy, "we're in the middle of renovations. The guest room is a mess." I suggested sleeping on the sofa, but my dad interjected, "The living room's being painted, and you know our house isn't big." Their endless excuses, each more feeble than the last, stung me deeply, especially their thinly veiled pleasure at my misfortune. Forced to start over, I found a modest apartment across town and threw myself into work, but nothing seemed to go right. My reports were constantly returned for revisions, and my decisions were always second-guessed. Eventually, Mr. Andrew, my former mentor, called me into his office, avoiding eye contact. "Stella," he said, fidgeting with papers. Perhaps it's time you considered other opportunities. Will gladly give you a reference. The loss of my job compounded the sense of abandonment from my family, plunging me into a deep depression. For weeks, I scarcely left my bed, and the silence from my family was crushing. Not one call or message to see if I was even alive. One morning, my friend Anna burst into my apartment with coffee and bagels, determined to lift my spirits. "This isn't you, Stella," she insisted. As she threw open the curtains, she continued, "The Stella I know is a fighter. The one who rose from a cleaning to management, who worked her way through college while holding a full-time job. That Stella is still here." Her words sparked something in me. Despite the prenuptial agreement, I had wisely saved money, living frugally and always preparing for the unexpected. One restless night, an idea struck me. With my extensive experience in hospitality, from housekeeping to front office management, I knew the industry inside out. "I'm going to open my own hotel," I announced to Anna over breakfast the next day. She was startled by my ambition. "It's a big leap," she said, nearly spitting out her coffee. "I've saved enough for startup costs, and I'll look for investors," I declared, already planning on my phone. I immersed myself in research, developed a comprehensive business plan, and began networking. At a charity event for emerging entrepreneurs, I connected with two investors who were intrigued by my concept for a boutique hotel that would meld luxury with personalized service. The first year was grueling. I manned the reception desk by day, handled paperwork by night, and covered for any staff absence, even spending days doing housekeeping when necessary. But this time, every moment of exhaustion felt worthwhile. My success felt profoundly different. It was truly mine. Over time, I had been gradually building a business that became a triumph of perseverance and dedication. Our hotel became known for its exceptional personal service and meticulous attention to detail. By the third year, we were making a profit, and by the fifth year, I had repaid all my investors, making the hotel entirely my own. During this period of success, my family had distanced themselves, cutting ties so thoroughly that it was as if I had never been part of their lives. There were no more invitations to holiday gatherings or family events. Initially, this rejection was painful, but over time, I came to see their absence as a blessing. It freed me from constant comparisons, subtle criticisms, and the persistent feeling of inadequacy. Occasionally, I would glance at my cousin Delilah's social media updates. Old habits are hard to break. I saw that she had achieved her dream of marrying wealthy and was now flaunting designer clothes for her baby and sharing photos from lavish vacations. As time flew by, our hotel didn't just succeed. It became a sought-after destination in the city for those who valued luxury combined with a personal touch. Travel bloggers often highlighted our distinctive service. Feeling a sense of gratitude and responsibility, I suggested to my management team that we organize something meaningful for the community. This led to the conception of our first charity gala to support educational scholarships for disadvantaged students, a cause close to my heart given my own educational journey. The gala transformed our grand ballroom into a dazzling venue and attracted local celebrities, business leaders, and media coverage. It was a huge success, significantly raising both funds and awareness. Following the gala, I found myself thrust into the public eye. 5 days later, an unexpected call came from the front desk. My parents were there, insisting on seeing me. Composing myself, I approached the lobby. They appeared older and still carried an air of entitlement. My mother attempted a warm greeting, which I cautiously avoided, and asked why they were there. My father, feigning hurt, expressed a desire to reconnect now that I was successful. I couldn't hide my skepticism, recalling their lack of support through my hardest times. The conversation turned when my mother mentioned that Delilah was struggling, her partner had left her, and she was raising her child alone without support. She hinted that I could intervene with the baby's father. I found the request absurd, wondering why he would listen to me. Their visit, it seemed, was not just a bid for reconciliation but also an attempt to seek help for Delilah. The encounter was a stark reminder of the complex dynamics of family relationships, where old patterns can resurface even in new chapters of life. I couldn't comprehend the situation as my mother casually dropped the bombshell about Angel, the man I once called my husband. Suddenly, the room felt like it had stopped spinning as I pieced together the confusing jigsaw of my life, the unexpected richness of my sister's mysterious boyfriend, my parents' unusual aloofness, and the disastrous timing of my career nosedive. Angels? I muttered under my breath, as the reality dawned on me with a clarity that stung sharply. It wasn't planned, my mom retorted defensively, as if the randomness of the situation absolved all betrayal. These things just happen, she added. These things just happen? My voice escalated in disbelief. My husband and my sister? And you chose a side. Delilah and Angel fell in love, my dad explained, as though it justified their actions. We couldn't just pick sides, but their neutrality was a facade. You did take sides. You isolated me. When I needed you most, you turned your backs on me. My voice broke the silence with a raw edge of accusation. Stop being so dramatic, my mom sighed, dismissing my pain. In the end, it all worked out. Look at you, owning a hotel. So, Angel did me a favor by having me fired because Delilah felt uncomfortable working with me. I stared at my parents, finally seeing them not as the protectors I thought they were, but as collaborators in the ruin of my life. Leave, I said quietly. Stella, don't do this, my mom began. Leave. My command boomed, and my security personnel appeared instantly. These people are not welcome here, I instructed them, my voice trembling with anger. You're being ungrateful, my dad started, but he was cut off as the guards escorted them out. You'll regret this, my mom yelled back. Family is all you have. No, I called out after them. Family should love and protect you. You're not my family. You just happened to raise me. That was the last interaction I had with my parents. I learned through mutual friends and social media snippets about the subsequent fallout of Delilah and Angel's tumultuous split. She vented about him online, while he threatened legal action. Meanwhile, my parents' fortunes dwindled due to a poor investment, leading them to downsize significantly. In contrast, my life blossomed beautifully. 3 months ago, I met Silas at a conference. He's successful, genuinely loving, and appreciates me for who I am. We're planning to marry next spring. Some nights, I find myself scrolling through Delilah's bitter posts about Angel, chuckling over the ironic justice of their predicament. My sister, once smug with victory, now lamented her single motherhood, while Angel watched his reputation crumble. As for me, the sister they thought they had defeated, I was thriving. My hotel was expanding, and Silas and I were dreaming of our future. The best revenge, I realized, wasn't about getting even. It was about living well and watching karma unfold from afar, preferably with a glass of champagne in hand. I'm Layla, and at 27 years old, I've always felt like the outlier in my family, the proverbial black sheep. Growing up as the eldest child of well-established engineer, Mom and Henry, I quickly learned that despite their achievements, I rarely shared in the family's accolades. My younger twin brothers, William and Hudson, seemed to receive all the attention and benefits from the moment they arrived. Their needs and wants often overshadowed mine, making me feel virtually invisible to our parents. This pattern started subtly, bigger slices of cake or newer toys for them, but escalated as we grew. On my 14th birthday, after longing for an art set filled with vibrant paints and brushes, I unwrapped my only gift to find a math workbook instead. As a teenager, the favoritism became blatantly obvious. Family vacations centered entirely around the boys' interests, skiing if William wished or beach trips if Hudson fancied surfing, while my suggestions were consistently dismissed. When college discussions began, I expressed a passion for art restoration, having spent countless hours at the local museum learning about the craft. However, my ambition was met with ridicule. My mother scoffed, suggesting it wasn't a real job, and William snidely recommended I pursue a more useful career like medicine, earning a proud look from my parents, a look I'd never received. Despite their lack of support, my resolve didn't waver. And when college acceptance letters arrived, I was thrilled to secure a scholarship for art restoration. I excitedly shared the news, only for my mom to dismissively return to her reading, more interested in the twins' perfect test scores. Leaving for college marked a stark contrast to the twins' departures. With my secondhand belongings and a bus ticket, I prepared to start anew at a modest state school, unaided by my parents. However, my grandmother provided the support I lacked. She handed me an envelope with a check and words of encouragement that fueled my determination. "I'm so proud of you. Don't ever forget that." Her recognition and support were invaluable, offering not just financial help but also a reminder that I was seen and valued. College was a bittersweet experience. Free from constant comparisons to my brothers, I embraced my independence and pursued my passion, navigating both the challenges and triumphs of forging my own path. When I began to focus intensely on my studies, I appreciated not feeling pitted against others for attention. However, financial struggles were a constant issue. I was scraping by on a scholarship and part-time work. Meanwhile, I'd hear about the luxurious experiences my brothers enjoyed: fraternity parties, spring break escapades, and internships at prestigious hospitals, all funded by our parents. My passion for art world deepened during this time. It wasn't just a career choice anymore. It became my sanctuary, a way to rediscover beauty in neglected artworks and reveal the potential hidden beneath years of deterioration. In my final year, I secured an internship at a small, esteemed museum. The work was humble, mostly cleaning and organizing, but it meant the world to me. Excited, I called home to share my news, only to receive a tepid response from my mother. "That's nice, dear," she remarked, distractedly, before shifting the conversation to praise my brother William's research paper being published in a major journal. I managed to hold back my disappointment. I suggested visiting home for a weekend, but she dismissed the idea, citing busy schedules with my brother's projects. Hanging up, I felt a familiar mix of anger and hurt, yet this time, a defiant determination stirred within me. Looking around my modest dorm, surrounded by art books and a restoration project in progress, I realized this was my world, one I had crafted on my own. "Screw them," I whispered to myself, though deep down, I knew I still longed for my parents' recognition and hoped they'd someday see the true me. Graduation passed with minimal acknowledgement from my family, marked only by a brief dinner at a chain restaurant. When I announced a job offer from a Bath museum, my father skeptically questioned the financial viability. The dinner ended with subtle criticisms and comparisons to my brothers. As we left, my grandmother quietly offered words of encouragement and handed me an envelope with a check sufficient to cover my first month's rent in Bath. "Don't let them dim your light, my dear," she whispered. "Chase your dreams." I held her close, struggling to hold back tears. The next few years were a whirlwind. I immersed myself in my career, gradually carving out a niche for myself in the realm of art restoration. It was during this bustling time that I crossed paths with John. John was a budding packaging design, always with a welcoming smile and an infectious zeal for his craft. We instantly bonded over our mutual appreciation for art and our similar experiences as underdogs in our respective fields. After dating for a while, I decided it was time for John to meet my family. From the moment we all sat down together, I could sense my parents had reservations. They fired question after question at John, each more probing than the last. John tried to maintain a casual demeanor, but it was clear he was uncomfortable. "What are your long-term career prospects?" my dad inquired, attempting to sound nonchalant. John shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I'm currently building my client base. It's a slow process, but I'm making steady progress," he replied. My mom interjected, "And your current income? Can it support a family?" My cheeks burned with embarrassment. "Mom, that's not." "It's okay, Layla," John interrupted, squeezing my hand reassuringly under the table. "I'm not where I'd like to be financially, Dr. Henry, but I'm working hard to get there." The questioning continued throughout dinner, and with each query, I could see John's confidence wane while my frustration mounted. As we were leaving, my mother pulled me aside. Layla, honey, I know you care about him, but you have to be realistic. You've already chosen a challenging career path. Don't complicate your life further by tying yourself to someone who might not have a secure future.
Mom.
I replied, shocked by her bluntness. My father chimed in. Your mother is right, Layla. Think about your future. John seems nice, but is he the best you can do? You deserve better. I was speechless, my frustration boiling over. How dare they judge John? How dare they dismiss my choices yet again? Despite their skepticism, John and I began planning our wedding, only to be hit by the reality of our modest savings, hardly enough for even a simple ceremony. One night, after hours of poring over budget spreadsheets, I brought it up during our weekly phone call with my parents. Mom, Dad, I started tentatively. John and I have set a date for the wedding. We're trying to keep costs down, but we were hoping you might want to help out a little, maybe just with the planning. The prolonged silence on the other end was awkward. Finally, my mother's voice came through, icy and stern. Layla, you're an adult. If you've chosen to marry this person, you need to handle the consequences yourself. I hung up feeling deflated but unsurprised. Once again, it was Grandma who came to our rescue. When I told her about the situation, she didn't hesitate. My dear, she said warmly, I might not be able to give you the wedding of your dreams, but I want to help make your day special. She sent over some money, which, although modest, significantly bolstered our wedding plans. When the big day finally arrived, I was a whirlwind of excitement and nerves. The community center we had rented was plain yet charming, adorned with wildflowers and soft, twinkling lights. Our close-knit circle of friends lent their hands in everything from setting up decorations to baking the wedding cake. As I walked down the improvised aisle, John's radiant smile dissolved all the hardships we'd endured, capturing a moment of pure joy that made it all worthwhile. For a brief second, the financial worries, my less than supportive family, all faded away, replaced by the warmth in John's eyes. However, the spell broke the moment I saw my family. My parents sat in the front row, their expressions a mix of boredom and disdain. I overheard my mother quietly criticize the tacky decorations and cheap food to my father. My brothers, William and Hudson, were even less subtle, sniggering in a corner and glued to their phones. I forced myself to look away, focusing instead on the vows and the encouraging faces of our friends. The harsh reality hit me the next day as I woke to countless notifications on my phone. William and Hudson had taken to social media, sharing unflattering photos of the wedding. One post mocked, "Congrats to our big sis on her special day," paired with a blurry picture of us cutting the cake, while another jibed, "Nothing says true love like a dollar store wedding." The comments ranged from outraged to amused, deepening the sting of their ridicule. Heartbreakingly, my parents didn't defend me. Instead, they encouraged my brother's mockery with comments like, "Boys will be boys. It's just a bit of harmless fun." I decided then to distance myself from them for a while. 3 months later, the annual Henry family reunion loomed. Despite my apprehensions, John encouraged me to attend, hoping it might mend some fences. It did not. The air was tense, and after overhearing William boast about a lavish vacation our parents paid for, I couldn't hold back. My comment about their financial dependence silenced the room instantly, leaving William speechless and everyone else uncomfortably aware of the truth I had laid bare. I had reached my breaking point after years of harboring deep-seated frustrations that finally erupted. You and Hudson were always given everything effortlessly, while I had to claw my way for any bit of acknowledgement or help. Mom stepped forward, visibly upset, accusing me of being irrational. She claimed they had always treated us kids equally. I couldn't help but let out a sarcastic laugh. "Equally? You must be joking," I retorted, as I began to list the disparities. Private schooling and brand new cars for the boys, versus public school, and nothing noteworthy for me, not to mention the huge financial support for their prestigious medical schools while I struggled with scholarships and loans to make ends meet. The silence that followed was deafening, with every eye now focused on our family drama unfolding so openly. Mom's voice turned frosty as she scornfully suggested that I should have married rich instead of choosing my less wealthy husband. Her words felt like a physical blow. John, who had been quietly supportive, tensed up beside me. "How dare you?" I snapped back, my eyes welling up with tears. "John is worth more than 8 of you. He loves me for who I am, not for what I can bring to his social circle." The reunion descended into total pandemonium, with accusations flying and old grievances resurfacing. Amid the chaos, a commanding voice suddenly demanded silence. Everyone turned to see Grandma standing, her usually gentle demeanor now stern with anger. She denounced the favoritism and cruelty that had plagued our family, calling out my parents and brothers directly for their shameful behavior. The room fell silent again. Seeing the stunned expressions all around, my grandmother's resolute face, the anger in my parents, the smug looks from my brothers, I felt something inside me shift permanently. "I'm done," I declared, my voice steady and resolute. "I'm done seeking your approval, done being part of this toxic environment. John and I are leaving, and don't bother contacting us." The following months were challenging, but John proved to be my steadfast support. He comforted me during my low moments, celebrated every small win, and never once held the family drama against me. Life is unpredictable. It throws curveballs when you least expect them. This all came to a head one sunny Tuesday morning when John, after tirelessly working on a major pitch, received the call that they'd landed the contract. His firm took off, changing our circumstances overnight. But with this newfound success came unexpected issues. My phone was suddenly overflowing with friend requests from those same family members. As I once thought I might have been mistaken, the unsettling words echoed until a gentle voice came from the doorway of the guest room, breaking the silence. "So this is how you truly feel about me?" The room turned still as everyone's gaze shifted to see Grandma standing there, her expression one of stark shock and disappointment. The color drained from William and Hudson's faces, realizing that their grandmother had overheard their entire conversation. "Grandma," William stuttered, we didn't mean," but with a simple raise of her hand, Grandmother silenced him. "I've heard enough," she declared, her voice steady and commanding. "Now I know who really values me and who just sees me as a free ride." Emboldened by my grandmother's resolve, I found my voice. "I think it's best you both leave now." They seemed ready to argue, but a stern look from Grandma, her face a blend of hurt and firmness, quelled any rebuttals as they shuffled towards the door, offering feeble excuses. The aftermath of that tumultuous evening was overwhelming. My phone was incessant, each buzz a reminder of the disaster that had unfolded. When Mom called again, I hesitated, then answered. "Layla." Her tone was sharp, almost unmotherly. "You need to sort this out. Your grandmother is furious with the boys. Tell her it was all a misunderstanding." I couldn't help but let out a scornful laugh. "A misunderstanding? They wished her gone just to sell her house." "They didn't mean it," Dad added, joining the conversation on speaker. "You know how they get," he tried to excuse. But I stood firm. "And what? That John and I are doing well on our own? That Grandma loves me?" Mom's voice turned cloyingly sweet. "Darling, think of the family. Your brothers deserve that inheritance. Don't be selfish." Something inside me snapped, releasing years of suppressed frustration. Selfish? After all the favoritism, the neglect, treating John and me like outsiders? And now you dare to suggest I give up on something I never even wanted. I cut off Dad as he tried to intervene. "No, I'm done. Done with all the manipulation, the guilt trips. Don't call me, don't text, don't come by. We're done." In the days that followed, I blocked their numbers, and although it hurt like severing a part of me, it was essential for my healing. As peace settled, grandmother, now fully aware of the dynamics she had long suspected, became a more regular part of my life. Aunt, who had apologized for not supporting me sooner after reaching out post-wedding fiasco, and other relatives started showing their support, transforming obligatory ties into genuine connections. John's family enveloped me with unconditional love. His parents, who had witnessed my family's harshness, went out of their way to show they valued me. Together, John and I poured our hearts into making our new apartment truly our sanctuary, Every picture, every piece of furniture a symbol of the life we were building on love, respect, and mutual support. My name is Abigail, and I am a 27-year-old woman, and my husband is 31. We've been together for over a decade and got married this year. My family, including my sister Layla, her partner David, my brother, and my mom, who is a retired factory worker, all decided to go on a cruise to celebrate my mom's retirement and our wedding. My mother generously covered the cost of our trip, including a balcony suite as a wedding gift, and emphasized that we should treat this trip as our honeymoon and enjoy it to the fullest. Unfortunately, despite my mom's intentions, the reality was different. Layla's behavior during the cruise was unexpectedly harsh and overbearing, particularly towards me. This was puzzling and disappointing, considering that she has historically been a strong supporter of my husband and me, especially given the loss of support from his family due to his sexual orientation. Our agreement before the cruise was to give my mom a day off from caring for Scarlett, our semi-verbal, special needs sister. The plan was to share responsibilities between my husband and me and Layla and David. However, this plan quickly fell apart, and the responsibility disproportionately fell on us, consuming much of our intended personal time. This family cruise, meant to be a celebration, turned into an emotionally taxing ordeal, highlighting unexpected challenges and changing dynamics within my family. Despite the overwhelming stress and the confrontations that occurred, my husband and I did our best to salvage moments of happiness and gratitude towards my mother for her thoughtful gift. However, the experience left us with mixed feelings about family gatherings and the unforeseen responsibilities that often come with them. In the scene I'm about to describe, my primary goal was for my mother to unwind. During 3 of the occasions, my sister and mom took trips to the spa together. On the 4th occasion, my husband and I took care of Scarlett to give my mom some much-needed alone time, which totaled about 4 hours. This decision was ours, made out of concern as my mom appeared quite stressed. Taking care of Scarlett is no small task. Despite being a beloved family member, she requires considerable assistance for most activities. My husband supported as much as he could, but I found myself as the main caregiver. Although it was demanding, I was glad to see Scarlett content. However, it's important to note that each time the responsibility of looking after Scarlett was assigned by my sister Layla, not by my mom. These assignments often meant that my husband and I had to cancel our plans, missing unique couple activities and one-time events that we wanted to experience on our cruise. We didn't really have a choice, but to accept it was our turn to look after her. No matter how diligently I tried to adhere to Layla's detailed instructions, I often missed some detail, which never escaped Layla's critique. She frequently reminded us of the generosity of our mother, who was funding our trip, implying that we should be extremely grateful. Whenever we considered buying a drink or souvenir, Layla was there to remind us of the extra cost, cautioning us against taking advantage of our mother's kindness. Her attitude flipped constantly, encouraging me to discuss potential purchases with our mom one day and accusing me of selfishness the next. Dinners were particularly challenging as Layla would either slow down her speech patronizingly or attempt to correct my behavior, all under the pretense of helping me avoid further mistakes. There was even an incident where she handed a photo album to our waitstaff to sign for Scarlett, and during this stressful moment, I suffered an anxiety attack. Layla chose to shout instructions rather than help, and then continued to scold me in front of a crowd of about 57 people, making me feel utterly humiliated. I spent many nights of the cruise feeling sick and confused, trying to understand what I was doing wrong. Despite my efforts to enjoy the cruise, the experience felt more like a nightmare. My husband was equally upset. When I brought up these issues with my mom, she acknowledged them but declined to discuss them further, suggesting Layla would explain in her own time. Yet, Layla never approached me to clarify anything. Throughout the 9-day cruise, my husband and I managed to get only about 9 hours alone together. The rest of the time was spent managing family responsibilities, mostly revolving around Scarlett and attending group activities, which, while mostly enjoyable, were not the private moments we had hoped for on our honeymoon. After returning, I wrote a letter to Layla expressing how hurt and used I felt, describing myself as her personal scapegoat and punching bag. She responded with a lengthy explanation of her financial stresses and those of our mother, trying to justify her behavior. She included an apology, which, according to our mom, was sincere. However, she advised me to accept the apology and move on. Reflecting on this ordeal, I realized that while I love my family dearly, I cannot travel with my sister again. Her treatment during the cruise made me feel despised, a sentiment I had never felt from her before. The experience has left a lasting impression on me, and despite the apology, it has altered my perspective on our relationship. I've found myself losing my temper often, and when that happens, I don't behave in the best way, for which I'm truly sorry. Reflecting on it now, I should have been clearer about the intent behind the spa idea. It was meant as a break for Mom, not a way for me to take up all her time. I realize now I shouldn't have assumed you'd understand that without me spelling it out. Perhaps setting up a simple schedule would have helped everyone align their expectations, assuming you were open to the idea. This could have prevented any misunderstanding, giving you both a chance to express your thoughts about the family cruise concept and how you didn't want to spend an hour of your honeymoon each day in this way, despite it being a treat from Mom. This misunderstanding has led to a lot of hurt feelings. Mom is siding with my sister, and my relationship with my husband has grown distant as he and Mom used to talk daily. My actions, intended or not, hurt Layla deeply. Even though she agreed that Layla was at fault, I'm told I should have just let it go. My brother has also distanced himself, preferring silence over conflict, worried about leaving behind a fractured family. Layla's partner, David, has also pulled back, demanding I prove I'm not the selfish, ungrateful person they think I've become, or else our relationship is over. My wish is to mend things with my family. Realistically, I'm hoping we might agree to family counseling to salvage whatever remains of our bond, but frankly, the outlook isn't promising. The pain I feel daily is real. I wanted to give my husband a loving family, my family. However, their reactions have dashed those hopes. Letting go of this issue might mean harboring resentment, something I want to avoid. I'm torn and feel helpless. So, am I wrong for expecting a sincere apology from my sister, or is it even worth pursuing at this point? I'd greatly appreciate any advice, as both my husband and I are completely at a loss. To add more context, Scarlett, who isn't blood-related but has been under my mother's care since I lived at home, suffers from daily seizures. I used to take care of her during her nighttime episodes and my mom during the day. Unlike Layla, who moved out at 16 and never had to shoulder such responsibilities, Scarlett has never been solely under Layla's care for any significant length of time, except for short visits. This has likely shaped our differing perspectives on family responsibilities and care. In recent times, my family and I have been doing our best to support my mother as she navigates the challenges of aging and caring for my sister, Scarlett. Whenever my mom needs to run errands or simply needs a break, I try to keep Scarlett engaged or help out in any way I can. This responsibility isn't mine alone. Everyone pitches in when they visit. However, as my mother grows older, she has openly shared her exhaustion and concerns about how long she can continue to manage on her own. Scarlett, through the eyes of my sister Layla, can do no wrong. Yet, Scarlett often becomes quite self-centered, oblivious to how her behavior affects others. Addressing this with her is delicate. She doesn't easily grasp direct criticism, so we approach her gently. Nevertheless, it's essential not to express any frustration about this in front of Layla. Looking ahead, the long-term plan is precarious. If my mom were to pass away or become unable to care for Scarlett, she would likely re-enter the foster system and live with another family. Despite Layla's protests, taking in Scarlett isn't feasible for her. The demands are too great, and her partner's health condition already strains their capacity. Similarly, my husband and I have decided against caring for Scarlett ourselves. While I could potentially become her full-time caregiver, it wouldn't be fair to ask my husband to undertake such a significant role. Furthermore, Our legal status as non-immediate family members complicates matters, potentially preventing us from even visiting Scarlett if she were placed back into the system. This topic is especially sensitive and often avoided in discussions with my mother and Layla. On a personal note, I want to express my gratitude to the online community for their support and candid insights, which have helped me confront some tough truths about my family dynamics that I was perhaps reluctant to face before. To add to the complexity, a recent ordeal with our taxes has added stress. In August 2023, following my mother's advice, we let a family friend handle our taxes instead of the professional company we've used for years. This decision backfired dramatically, leaving us owing a substantial amount in back taxes, discovered in December 2023. This financial setback has been a harsh lesson in trust and its consequences, severely impacting our credit score, which we had been diligently building for over 9 years. Despite the turmoil, with guidance from my husband's adoptive mother and her financial expertise, we are hopeful of recovering from this in a few years. However, the disappointment in my mother's lack of support during this time is profound. She didn't offer any help or resources, simply blaming us for the mishap. Amidst all these challenges, it's been a lonely time with no festive greetings or birthday wishes, adding to the sense of isolation during what has already been a difficult period. This past year was an unforgettable one, yet due to unforeseen circumstances, it slipped by without the usual remembrance. Amidst this, my husband and I decided it was crucial for our well-being to cut off contact with all our family members, including Layla, David, Layla's partner, my mother, and my brother. We needed this space, and although we didn't set a time frame, we knew it was necessary for our health. As January 2024 rolled around, things took a sharp and unsettling turn. Someone began posting highly accurate details about our financial situation on our social media accounts. The precision of the information hinted that it was someone close to us, as only a select few, myself, my husband, my mom, and her friend who managed our taxes, were privy to these details. Alarmed, I reached out to my mom with screenshots, inquiring if she knew anything. She denied any involvement. However, the situation escalated quickly when we realized we hadn't blocked David on Facebook. He messaged me, claiming he was just checking in and that he and the family were unclear on how to handle the way my husband and I were behaving. A quick review of the posts from the blocked account made it evident that David was the source of the leak. Confronting my mom over the phone, she broke down and admitted that she had shared our financial information with Layla because she felt the need to confide in someone. This breach of trust was compounded by her initial denial. We had explicitly requested our financial and medical details be kept confidential, yet not only did she disclose our financial situation, but she also divulged our private medical information to Layla, who then used it to slander us online across various platforms. This revelation was deeply troubling, especially considering my mom had always maintained strict confidentiality regarding my siblings' information, insisting it wasn't her place to share. The disparity in how she treated our information compared to my siblings highlighted a profound lack of respect towards us. Over the following weeks, we were bombarded with derogatory and false statements about us online, leading to a constant cycle of reporting and blocking new accounts. I presented the evidence to my mom, proving that Layla and David were behind the attacks, yet she continued to support them. The ordeal didn't stop there. Conversations we weren't privy to came to light. Discussions about my husband and me that had been ongoing since before our wedding, led by Layla and my mom, and they were not favorable. We also discovered from my sister the true sentiments they harbored towards my husband, disdain for his past, which he had overcome, and baseless judgments about his character. The family's harsh criticism extended to me as well, labeling me as unstable and manipulated by my husband, whom they called a terrible influence. Amidst these accusations, my mom began sending unsolicited photos of my sister Scarlett, adding another layer of stress and invasion of privacy to our strained relations. Navigating this tumultuous period, my husband and I were forced to reconsider our ties and how to protect our peace against such unrelenting hostility. I blocked her on all platforms after repeated attempts to ask her to stop her emotionally manipulative behavior, which only escalated to more guilt-tripping from her side. Eventually, I blocked her phone number, severing the last line of communication. This decision extended to my entire immediate family, leaving me feeling deeply unsettled. We had just gotten married the previous July, and now it feels as if a part of my family has been torn away, a loss that weighs on me daily. In coping with this, my sleep and appetite have suffered significantly. Thankfully, I've been seeking mental health support, which has been beneficial. The advice to express these feelings publicly was part of that therapeutic process, and though it's difficult, I'm trying to find a way forward. Harsh words were exchanged from both sides, deeply affecting my husband. He feels emotionally exhausted from the ordeal, and I can't ask him to reopen those doors. They treated him terribly. Reconciliation seems almost impossible now. However, my husband and I are fortunate to have a strong support network of friends and non-blood relatives who've been incredibly supportive, which does offer some comfort. I hope for peace and to gradually heal from this part of my life that's now missing. The advice and insights from friends and family have been eye-opening, validating our feelings and decisions. Regarding our finances, after a mishap by a family friend who was managing our money, we found ourselves in debt and had to enter a consolidation program to manage our payments, which might take 5 to 3 years to resolve. This has been a significant strain, and while we are not looking to delve deeply into legal matters, we are focusing on stabilizing our financial situation. We appreciate the concern and advice from everyone, and while the financial aspect is challenging, we are managing and hope to resolve these issues without further complications. We tied the knot in July, and amidst the whirlwind of wedding preparations, we completely overlooked our tax filings, which are typically due in March or April every year. Soon after our wedding, we took a 7-day trip in early August. Upon our return, my mother, concerned about the potential high fees from our usual tax service due to our delay, suggested we take up her friend's offer to do our taxes for free. Her friend reassured us of a quick and efficient handling of our taxes. Given that my husband and I usually pay professionals to manage our tax paperwork and had never done it ourselves, we didn't think much about how swiftly she completed the task. We were told everything was filed correctly, and the surprisingly large refund was ours to freely use. Trusting her assurance, we spent the money. Typically, the worst-case scenario for late tax filings would be a minor penalty of $410 to $711. However, following our extravagant wedding cruise and facing financial strains, free professional help seemed like a sensible choice. Unfortunately, this decision led to a significant mistake that drastically affected our credit scores, which had previously been over 700, a rating we had taken years to build. This error not only dropped our credit score but also left us indebted for the money spent, which wasn't rightfully ours, including the accruing interest. The amount we would have received from our tax refund was modest, and for reasons unknown, the Canadian Revenue Agency, CRA, didn't spot the substantial error initially. Such errors are typically caught by the CRA, but this one slipped through until around December, when we received an email notifying us of the mistake, months after the tax filing and the receipt of funds. We've been advised not to delve into the specifics, like exact amounts or detailed processes. I hope this explanation clarifies our situation and helps illustrate how a simple oversight can lead to significant financial repercussions. My sister, Ellie, gifted my son, John, a DNA test kit for Christmas with the intention of stirring doubt about his paternity. My husband, David, and I met in our late 17s and married after 3 years of engineer training. We built a life filled with love, trust, and joy, welcoming John into our world, who brought immense happiness to our family. Our relationship with Ellie had always been strained. From passive-aggressive comments to outright accusations, she seemed determined to create discord. At her wedding, despite following her dress code, she accused me of trying to overshadow her, escalating tensions. This behavior continued, with Ellie often downplaying John's achievements in comparison to her son, Hudson. Despite the negativity, David and I focused on maintaining peace, especially for the cousins to grow up close. However, Ellie's actions escalated when she gave John the DNA kit. Though John was intrigued by the science, Ellie's smug demeanor suggested ulterior motives. David later shared that Ellie had hinted at revealing some truth about John, exploiting the fact that John's green eyes were different from ours to insinuate David might not be his father. Despite the shock, David and I stood firm, trusting our bond and refusing to let Ellie's manipulation affect us. We let John take the test, committed to handling whatever results it might show. However, a twist of fate revealed that Ellie's own children, including Hudson, were not biologically related to her husband. This discovery shifted the dynamics, turning the tables on Ellie's malicious plot and highlighting the unexpected outcomes that can arise from such divisive actions. In the end, our family's strength and unity prevailed, reinforcing that truth and love could withstand even the most malicious attempts to undermine them. David was confident that a DNA test would merely confirm what they already believed, that John was undoubtedly their son, and nothing could alter that fact. John, oblivious to the underlying stress his parents felt, was thrilled by the scientific aspects of the DNA test. He was eager to uncover his genetic history and explore his ancestral roots, so they supported him in sending off his sample. Meanwhile, Ellie's son Hudson, a curious 12-year-old, observed the whole process with keen interest. Prompted by his curiosity and his father William's suggestion of making it a fun family project, they also decided to get a DNA test for him. What began as a simple curiosity soon escalated into a dramatic family crisis. John's results arrived, confirming David as his father, aligning with their expectations. However, the family was blindsided when Hudson's results revealed that William was not his biological father. The truth exposed Ellie's long-concealed affair from over a decade ago, showing that Hudson was not William's biological son. The revelation devastated William, who had lovingly raised Hudson as his own, never suspecting Ellie's betrayal. In his distress, William demanded a paternity test for their younger daughter, only to discover he wasn't her father either. Ellie's carefully constructed image of a perfect life began to crumble publicly, revealing her infidelity and shattering her family's peace. The fallout was swift and severe. Within days, William filed for divorce and moved out. Ellie's world, once secure and controlled, was now in ruins. Ironically, her efforts to undermine my marriage had only led to the exposure of her own deceit. Hudson suffered the most, transitioning overnight from a carefree, happy teenager to a bewildered and heartbroken young man. The father he had known and loved his entire life was not his biological parent, and his family structure was disintegrating. John, too, was deeply affected. Close to Hudson, he felt troubled by his cousin's pain and began asking questions about why Hudson's dad was no longer around, which was heartbreaking to witness. As time passed, William pursued full custody of the children, determined to shield them from Ellie's influence. Once the controlling pillar of the family, Ellie now appeared as a mere shadow of her former self at family gatherings, nervous, pale, and tear-streaked. In a surprising turn of events, Ellie reached out to me. Her voice was shaky and filled with tears as she pleaded for help. She asked me to speak with William to soften his stance on the custody arrangements. Despite everything, she was desperate to maintain some connection with her children and was now seeking advice from me, the very person she had once tried so hard to bring down. I was completely shocked by her behavior. After all the trouble she had caused, trying to sabotage my marriage and creating chaos whenever possible, she still had the nerve to ask for my assistance. At first, I ignored her calls, reluctant to even consider the idea of helping her. However, as time passed, my thoughts kept returning to Hudson. He was an innocent bystander in all of this. None of it was his fault, yet he was the one who was suffering the most. John was also affected, struggling to grasp why his cousin's life was in such turmoil. I found myself torn. Ellie's actions were inexcusable, but were her children to blame as well? Should I really let my anger towards her affect them? David insisted I stay out of it. He firmly believed Ellie needed to face the consequences of her actions alone. Yet, something inside me couldn't ignore the fact that perhaps I could help ease some of the pain for the kids. They weren't responsible for their mother's poor decisions. Now, I found myself at a crossroads, unsure of the right path to take. Should I extend help to Ellie for the sake of her children, or should I distance myself from someone who had caused so much distress? It's a tough decision to make, and here I am, struggling between doing what seems right for the kids and maintaining my distance from a person who has brought so much turmoil into our lives. Here's what's been happening since I last shared. Ellie hasn't stopped reaching out. Honestly, it's getting overwhelming. Despite hoping she might ease off, she continues to be relentless. There was a particularly intense day when she called 4 times, leaving long, tearful voicemails. I could hear her desperation, but it was hard to feel much sympathy after everything. My husband, David, reached his limit one day. It's rare for him to lose his temper, but he ended up calling her back. I could hear the anger in his voice from across the room as he confronted her, telling her he was done with her disrespect and manipulation. He wanted to make it clear that it wasn't just about one incident. It was about years of underhanded remarks, manipulative behavior, and a total disregard for our boundaries. Ellie's reaction was heartbreaking. She broke down, accusing me of turning David against her and her family. Hearing her sob was conflicting. Part of me felt a hint of sympathy, but mostly, I was just exhausted. After that call, the dynamic changed again, and navigating the situation has only become more complicated. She kept messaging me, oscillating between pleading for my help and accusing me of plotting against her. One moment, she'd desperately say she needed me to mediate with William to mend things, and the next, she'd label me as manipulative, accusing me of being envious of her family life and wanting to dismantle her marriage. It was perplexing. I felt either vilified or venerated by her, with no in-between. Frankly, it's been draining to handle her emotional swings. It's like being trapped on an unwanted roller coaster ride. Throughout this ordeal, my primary worry has been about the children, who are truly blameless yet deeply impacted. My heart particularly goes out to Hudson and John. The shocking truth about Hudson's real father has shaken him profoundly, and it's evident he's struggling to come to terms with it. It's painful to watch him suffer and feel powerless to ease his confusion. John, though younger and less aware of the full scope of the situation, senses that something is amiss. At a recent family get-together, John eagerly anticipated playing with Hudson, hoping for the camaraderie they once shared. Sadly, Hudson was noticeably withdrawn and disengaged, leaving John puzzled and hurt. He kept wondering why Hudson wasn't his usual playful self. I couldn't bring myself to explain the real reason, so I brushed it off, saying Hudson was just tired or had a lot on his mind, though I knew it was much more than that. Meanwhile, Ellie's messages have become increasingly dramatic. Just yesterday, she texted, accusing our family of betrayal. I was tempted to confront her. How could she feel betrayed when it was her decisions that sparked this chaos? Yet, she persists in blaming everyone else, me, David, William, never acknowledging her own role in these issues. David and I have spent countless nights discussing how to best support the kids amidst this turmoil. While David thinks we should intervene for Hudson's sake, especially given his closeness to John, he's also cautious about the repercussions of delving too deeply into Ellie's troubles. We've been striving to balance our support for the children with maintaining our own peace, but it's becoming increasingly challenging. To complicate matters, William has been contacting David, seeking clarity and understanding. After meeting William for coffee, David returned looking even more conflicted than before. William is understandably shattered. He confided in David that he feels his entire life has been upended, and now he's grappling with how to co-parent with Ellie in the aftermath of their personal upheaval. Having these conversations with William really brought out the complexities of the situation for David. William is undoubtedly a decent man caught in an exceedingly tough situation, doing his utmost to provide for his children amidst the turmoil. The more David learned from William, the more conflicted he became about the best way forward. Although David is eager to help, he is well aware that getting too involved could inadvertently pull them deeper into the complications surrounding Ellie. Every interaction with Hudson intensifies the desire to help. This young boy, innocently entangled in the chaos, doesn't deserve any part of it. John often questions why Hudson appears so melancholy, and it's heart-wrenching for David to remain unable to provide a straightforward answer. The dilemma deepens as David grapples with the impulse to intervene against the backdrop of potentially getting drawn into the vortex of Ellie's disarray. Ultimately, the protection of the children is David's paramount concern. Both Hudson and John are innocent and shouldn't have to bear the brunt of their parents' lapses. Witnessing their distress is agonizing, and David is torn between the desire to act and the fear of the repercussions. The path forward is unclear, but the hope is to navigate this situation with minimal additional distress. Ellie, dissatisfied with a non-conclusive at-home DNA test, opted for a formal medical paternity test. Despite the inherent inaccuracies of home kits, Ellie held onto a sliver of hope. However, the medical test results mirrored those of the initial test, confirming William is not the father of either child, which only deepened Ellie's predicament. Although the outcome was anticipated, it was still a painful confirmation for everyone, especially William, who had braced for the worst yet harbored a faint hope of a different outcome. After absorbing the blow, William became increasingly reclusive. A further twist occurred when he decided to investigate and confront a former coworker of Ellie's, whom he suspected of having an affair with her years ago. William's long-standing suspicions about their unusually close relationship, marked by shared work events and late-night texts, were always dismissed by Ellie as mere professional interactions. With his suspicions seemingly validated, William confronted the man at his home, driven by a tumult of emotions. William was deeply wounded, overwhelmed with anger, and desperate for answers when things escalated rapidly. Initially, the other man denied everything, which only fueled William's frustration, leading to a loud argument that quickly turned physical. The noise caught the attention of neighbors who called the police. By the time the officers arrived, both William and the man were visibly injured. The altercation resulted in William being arrested and charged with assault, plunging him into serious legal troubles. David stepped in to assist, heading to the police station and posting bail for William. However, William now faces daunting legal battles, claiming the altercation was provoked, a difficult point to prove in court. The situation seems to spiral further out of control, rooted deeply in Ellie's years-long concealment of the truth. It's painful to watch William, once so composed, unravel so dramatically. Meanwhile, Ellie is frantically trying to manage the fallout, but to little avail. William has responded by filing for full custody of their children, citing the affair, the paternity results, and the recent fight as evidence of Ellie's unfitness as a mother. In desperation, Ellie portrays William as dangerously unstable, fearing she might lose her children. The conflict between Ellie and William worsens daily. William is enraged by Ellie's deceit, while Ellie desperately tries to cling to any control over her unraveling life. The toll on both of them is evident, but my concern lies heavily with their children, Hudson and their daughter. William has considered moving out of state for a fresh start, which could further complicate the children's lives. Ellie's emotional volatility is exhausting. She swings between seeking support and accusing me of conspiring against her, making it difficult to maintain sympathy for her. Despite her clear downward spiral, her inability to accept responsibility for her actions complicates any attempt to help her. At this point, involvement seems inevitable. David and I are leaning towards supporting William through his legal challenges, viewing him as the more stable parent. Yet, the potential impact on Hudson and his sister, caught in a battle they never chose, is deeply concerning. Hudson's recent withdrawal and confusion are heartbreaking, especially when considering the significant revelations about his family. This situation, complex and fraught with emotional turmoil, demands careful navigation to support those most vulnerable, the children. I'm finding it challenging to find a way to communicate this to him in terms he can understand. The situation has been spiraling out of control, and each day seems to bring a new challenge that only adds to the chaos. We're doing our best to handle things day by day, holding on to hope and praying for the best. However, it's becoming increasingly difficult to remain optimistic with so much uncertainty looming over us. Reflecting on everything regarding William and the man Ellie had an affair with, you might recall the altercation that led to William's arrest. While it initially looked like William might face serious charges, the other man chose not to press charges. He seems to have wanted to distance himself from the entire ordeal, recognizing that any further involvement could only worsen his personal and professional situation. He's cut ties with both William and Ellie, effectively closing that tumultuous chapter. Now, about the kids, this has been the most emotionally taxing part. William initially sought full custody, which alarmed Ellie. However, after some deep conversations and reflection, William had a realization. Regardless of what the paternity tests might reveal, Hudson and his sister are his children. He's been their father from the start, providing love, guidance, and support. This bond goes beyond DNA. William explained to us that his pursuit of custody is no longer driven by anger or revenge, but by a desire to protect the kids from the turmoil Ellie has caused. He's been remarkable throughout this ordeal, clearly demonstrating his love and commitment to his children. He's made it a point to ensure they know that, regardless of what happens between him and Ellie, they are his children, loved unconditionally. William handled the situation with incredible sensitivity. He spoke to the kids in an age-appropriate manner, careful not to overwhelm them but ensuring they understood the changes happening around them. He reassured them that they were not to blame for any of this. Hudson, in particular, has found this reassurance comforting, though he's still trying to come to terms with everything. Meanwhile, Ellie has been struggling significantly, still in a state of panic and failing to address the children's emotional needs effectively. Ellie has been caught up in managing her public image and addressing the issues she created, while William has taken on the role of primary caregiver. He has been actively involved in their children's lives, attending school events, and managing their healthcare needs. This contrast in priorities has been difficult to observe, as Ellie appears more focused on external perceptions than the internal dynamics of her family. Amidst their ongoing custody battle, William has shifted his stance to seek joint custody, recognizing the importance of the children maintaining a relationship with their mother despite the challenges. Although William initially aimed for full custody due to his stability, he now seeks primary custody to ensure the children have the security and normalcy they've been missing. The court seems to favor William, noting his role in providing stability and his evident dedication. Meanwhile, Ellie's actions have not aided her case. She portrays herself as a victim and tries to undermine William by highlighting his past emotional reactions, which clearly stemmed from his hurt. As for their marriage, it is irretrievably broken, and the divorce is proceeding. William has reached a place of acceptance, no longer harboring anger towards Ellie but feeling a profound sadness over what was lost and the impact on their children. His focus now is firmly on the future and being the best father possible. Through this ordeal, David and I have remained supportive, trying to keep a healthy distance from the conflict while ensuring that Hudson, along with his brother John, maintains a sense of normalcy and connection, which seems to be a positive influence during these unstable times. One key lesson from this situation is the remarkable resilience of children when enveloped in love. William's steadfast love and dedication have been crucial anchors for the children. I am also immensely grateful for the support from friends and family. Your advice and encouragement have been invaluable during this overwhelming time. As things continue to evolve, I am hopeful that we are moving past the hardest part, with the children still enveloped in love, which is ultimately what matters most. Thank you all for your continued support as we hope for a future of healing and peace. Reflecting on those days brings them back, as if they were only yesterday. It was just me, Sophia, with Mom and Dad, our quintessential family. We weren't celebrities or millionaires. We were just a regular family making the most of our lives together. Dad was a remittance officer, buried in his books during the day, yet his face would light up as soon as he walked through our door each evening. Mom, an engineer teacher, spread her warmth and wisdom far and wide. Our weekends were adventures, with the three of us crammed into our old station wagon, setting off to explore the hidden corners of the country. Dad would crank up his favorite old tunes while Mom sang along out of tune, and although I'd roll my eyes from the back seat, I secretly cherished every moment. Those road trips were magical. We'd stop at small, worn-out diners, indulging in greasy burgers and a colossal milkshake that we'd share. Mom always teasingly stole my fries, jesting that she was just checking for poison. Sweetie, when we weren't wandering the highways, you could find us at the local mall. I'd pull them from shop to shop, trying on wild outfits and pleading for the newest toys. While Mom maintained her practical stance, Dad often played the softy, sneakily handing me a few dollars when Mom looked away, whispering, "Our little secret, Meg." Friday nights were synonymous with pizza and movies. We'd spread out on the living room floor, a cheesy film playing as Dad attempted to narrate the plot, only for Mom to hush him, and I'd focus solely on my slice loaded with pepperoni, savoring the moment. But then, when I was 13, Mom began to feel constantly exhausted. At first, we brushed it off as job fatigue, but it escalated to endless doctor visits and a cascade of whispered concerns. The vibrancy of our family dimmed. Laughter grew rare. Our exploratory road trip ceased, and our lively pizza nights turned into quiet, strained dinners. One evening, I overheard Dad on the phone, his voice breaking. "The treatments aren't working. I don't know what we'll do." That was my first inkling that our perfect little world was crumbling. I yearned to return to those joyous days, to freeze time and live forever in that blissful ignorance, but reality doesn't allow for such escapes. As the storm approached, all I could do was brace myself, powerless. Now, I close my eyes to recall those precious memories, the scent of Mom's perfume, Dad's hearty laughs, the zest of our Friday night pizzas. Those memories are the remnants of the life I cherished, a life I long to revisit. That fateful day fell on a Tuesday, a pizza night that went without pizza, laughter, or Mom's presence. Only the chilling silence and the steady beeping of hospital machines cut through. "Sophia, sweetie," Dad said, his voice breaking. "Mom's gone." Just like that, my world shattered. Mom, my pillar, my best friend, was no longer there. I stood frozen, unable to think or breathe, as Dad embraced me, his tears mingling with my hair. The weeks that followed were a blur of somber clothes and subdued voices, and I found myself unable to eat, always half expecting Mom to walk back in and tell us this was all just a terrible mistake. I had the most unsettling dream, but nothing had prepared me for the reality that unfolded just 3 months after we lost Mom. Dad began to emerge from his grief, venturing out more often, which initially seemed like a positive turn. However, my relief was short-lived when he introduced me to someone new, a tall, blonde woman who was starkly different from Mom. Her name was Madison, and although she wore a perpetual smile, it never quite reached her eyes. Dad seemed anxious as he introduced us. "Sophia, this is Madison," he announced. "We've been spending a lot of time together." I was stunned. It felt like Mom had only just left us, and here was Dad, presenting her replacement. Madison crouched down to my level, her face close to mine. "Hi, Sophia. I've heard so much about you." But the warmth disappeared the moment Dad looked away. Her smile faded. Her gaze turned icy and calculating. I realized then, Madison was going to be a problem. As the days passed, Madison's presence became a constant in our lives. She'd join us for dinner, watch TV with us, even offer to help with my homework. Yet, whenever we were alone, her demeanor shifted dramatically. "Listen, kid," she whispered fiercely one day. "I'm here to stay. Don't think about messing this up for me." I tried to express my concerns to Dad, but he dismissed them. "Sophia, I know it's tough, but Madison is a good person. You're just feeling jealous." He even suggested I might need to see someone about my jealousy. Frustrated and hurt, I found myself in a therapist's office, labeled with adjustment issues and difficulty accepting change. Madison had managed to convince everyone, Dad, our relatives, even our neighbors, that I was the one with the problem. I would overhear her on the phone, painting me as the troubled child who needed help. Then, a year and a half after Mom's death, Dad announced that he and Madison were getting married. "We think it would be good for you to spend the summer at camp," he said, "to help you adjust." But I knew the real reason was to keep me away during their wedding, to avoid having me ruin their day with my sour face, as Madison put it. With a heavy heart, I left for camp, knowing that upon my return, nothing would be the same. My home, my sanctuary, was being transformed without my consent. When I finally came back, the house looked unchanged on the outside, but as soon as I stepped inside, the shift was palpable. "Welcome home, Sophia," Madison greeted me, her insincere smile failing to mask the tension. "We need to talk about some changes, especially with a baby on the way." "A baby?" The news hit me like a freight train. Dad beamed with joy. "Madison's pregnant, and you're going to be a big sister." Madison led me to my room, or rather what used to be my room. The door swung open to reveal pastel walls and a crib where my desk once stood. "We've started converting this into the nursery," she explained nonchalantly. My heart sank as I realized my belongings were gone, my past erased, replaced by this new life they were building, one in which there seemed to be no room for me. I managed to mutter the words as Madison waved me off indifferently. "Oh, we moved you to the guest room. It's cozier," she explained nonchalantly. The guest room was nothing more than a cramped space, slightly larger than a closet. My belongings were carelessly thrown onto the bed. Some boxes remained unopened. "This is just temporary, right?" I inquired, turning to my dad, who avoided my gaze. "Well, Meg, with a new baby?" His voice trailed off, but I understood. I was being sidelined, replaced. The ensuing months became a whirlwind of doctor's visits, baby showers, and my attempts to remain inconspicuous. As Madison's pregnancy advanced, so did her dominance over our household. Then, on a brisk autumn morning, my little brother was born. Despite the circumstances, the first time I held him, a wave of affection washed over me. For a fleeting moment, I dared to hope that perhaps things might improve. However, Madison had other ideas. "Careful, Sophia," she would caution, abruptly taking him from me. "You might drop him, or he's sleeping now, maybe later," she'd say. There were always excuses, always reasons to keep me away from my brother. Dad was too caught up with work and the new baby to notice. As the years rolled on, I immersed myself in academics, eagerly counting down the days until I could leave for college. My brother blossomed into a kind, inquisitive child, yet Madison ensured our time together remained minimal. At last, my senior year came, and one evening, I overheard Madison and Dad arguing. "She needs to learn responsibility," Madison pressed. "A job straight out of high school would do her good." Dad's response was resolute. "No, Mom wanted her to go to college. We've saved for it. Sophia's going." I had never felt more thankful for my dad's support. When my college acceptance letter arrived, tears of relief streamed down my face. I was escaping. I was starting a new life away from Madison's manipulations. On moving day, Dad helped me pack the car while Madison and my brother stayed behind. "I'm proud of you, Meg," Dad said, enveloping me in a hug. "Your mom would be too." As I drove off, the sight of my childhood home faded in the rearview mirror, leaving behind a blend of sorrow and anticipation. I was saying goodbye to the only home I'd ever known, and the little brother I barely got to know. But I was also driving towards freedom, towards a future where I could be myself without Madison looming over me. College felt like a refreshing escape after years of suffocation. I dove into my studies, my determination unwavering to make something of myself. Marketing became my passion, a field where creativity intertwined with strategy, allowing me to express myself freely. Yet, even amidst my newfound independence, a persistent ache for my little brother lingered. Barely 5 when I left, he was growing up without me. During my infrequent visits home, I would see the remarkable child he was becoming. "Sophia, look what I drew," he would beam, showing me his latest creation. I'd tousle his hair, savoring these fleeting moments. "It was simply wonderful, my friend. You truly are an exceptional artist." However, it wasn't long before Madison would come along, pulling him aside for some pressing matter, deepening the gap between us as the years went by. Graduation day was a mixture of joy and sorrow. Dressed in my cap and gown, I searched the crowd for familiar faces, only to find that my father and Madison were missing. Later, a terse text appeared on my phone. "Congratulations on graduating, Dad, Madison." The message was cold, but I shook off the disappointment. I was determined to embrace the future. With a strong portfolio and experience from internships, I secured a position at a trendy marketing agency in the city. My grandmother, my mother's mother, and my steadfast supporter found me a small but charming apartment. "Your mother would have been so proud," she told me, handing me a check to cover the rent. "She always wanted you to have a good start." Life soon found a pleasant routine. Work was fulfilling, I made new friends, went on dates, and gradually healed from the scars of the past. For 5 years, life was peaceful, punctuated only by the occasional uncomfortable holiday visit. Then, unexpectedly, my phone lit up with my dad's name. "Sophia, it's Dad. We've sold the house and bought a new, bigger one. More modern. I was hoping you'd help us move. It could be a good opportunity for us to reconnect." His offer, after so much silence, seemed almost unreal. "Madison and your brother would love to see you," he added. I was skeptical about Madison, but the mention of my brother, now 12, who often asked about me, tugged at my heart. Torn, I hesitated. Part of me wanted to refuse, to guard against further pain, but another part, a part hungry for familial ties and reconciliation, prevailed. "Okay," I finally agreed. "I'll come." Relief washed over Dad's voice. "I'll text you the address. See you this weekend." Packing for the weekend stirred a whirlpool of emotions, hope tangled with anxiety, excitement with dread. Arriving at the new house, I was struck by its sheer size and modern design, a stark contrast to the cozy home of my childhood. With a deep breath, I rang the doorbell. Dad greeted me with a cautious smile. "Maggie, you made it." "Hi, Dad." I stepped in, and there was Madison, her smile as insincere as ever. "Sophia, how nice of you to come," she said, her tone suggesting the opposite. I looked around for my brother, but he was nowhere to be found. "Oh, he's staying with my parents this weekend," Madison explained smoothly. "We thought it would be easier to move without him here." Her eyes revealed her true intentions. She had deliberately kept my brother away. Swallowing my disappointment and frustration, I forced a smile. "So, where do you want me to start?" For the next few hours, I focused on the task at hand, cleaning, organizing, and setting up their new home, all while grappling with the complex emotions of the visit. As I rummaged through some boxes in what was to be the study, I stumbled upon a stack of framed photographs. My pulse quickened when my eyes landed on a familiar frame, a portrait of Mom, her radiant smile nearly obscured by a layer of dust. Gripping the photo, I ventured into the living room, where Dad and Madison were discussing paint colors. "Dad," I began, my voice quivering, "why is Mom's picture tossed aside like this?" Dad's expression darkened, a blend of regret and sorrow washing over his face. Before he could respond, Madison interjected dismissively. "Oh, those old pictures? They just don't match the new decor we're planning. They're rather unnecessary, don't you think?" The word unnecessary stung sharply. It was as if my mother's memory had been demoted to an obsolete ornament. "Unnecessaries?" I echoed, my tone icy. "This is my mother, your wife," I added, locking eyes with Dad, who at least seemed remorseful. Without waiting for their excuses, I began to collect all of Mom's photographs, her jewelry box, and some of her favorite books. Ignoring Madison's objections and Dad's feeble explanations, I loaded everything into my car. A tumult of emotions surged within me, rage at Madison's insensitivity, disillusionment with Dad's lack of backbone, and a profound grief for the mother I missed and the fragmented family we had become. I slammed the car trunk, the sound reverberating down the quiet street. I contemplated driving away, leaving behind the chaos. However, something held me back. Perhaps it was Mom's voice in my memory, urging me to stay strong. Or maybe it was the thought of my younger brother, who I hadn't yet seen. Or perhaps it was just sheer determination not to let Madison win. I walked back into the house, finding Madison conspicuously absent, likely avoiding further confrontation. Dad stood in the hallway, a picture of desolation. I resumed cleaning, trying to block out thoughts of Dad's betrayal. Just as I was about to leave, Dad stopped me. "Sophia, wait. There's something else." He looked uneasy. "We're having a housewarming party soon, and we could really use your help." Before I could decline, Madison appeared, oozing insincerity. "Oh, Sophia, perhaps you could oversee the catering? I'll handle the invitations, cleaning, and the rest." I was about to refuse when Dad interjected. "Please, Maggie. All our friends and relatives will be there. We can't do it without you." His eyes, pleading, wore down my resolve. Despite everything, deep down a part of me still longed to see him happy. "All right," I sighed. "I'll help with the food and cover the costs myself." Madison's smile grew wider. "Wonderful. We're planning an Italian-themed dinner to celebrate the new kitchen," she explained. I nodded, already formulating a plan. "Actually, I know just the place to order from. It's the best Italian restaurant around, and their quality is unmatched." Madison's eyes narrowed slightly. "What's it called?" "Bellinate," I replied cautiously, observing her reaction. She seemed pleased, nodding her approval. "Sounds perfect. We'll leave it in your capable hands then." As I drove home, I couldn't shake off a lingering suspicion. Madison's sudden agreeability felt odd, but I pushed those thoughts aside to focus on arranging the perfect menu. Over the next few days, I immersed myself in the task, reaching out to my friend Maria, who owned the restaurant. "It's been too long," she greeted me cheerfully. "Hey, Maria. I need a favor. My dad's hosting a housewarming party, and I'm in charge of the food. Can you help out?" "For you, anything. What did you have in mind?" We spent the next hour planning a lavish Italian feast, antipasti platters, handmade pasta, and decadent desserts. I spared no expense, determined to handle this responsibility flawlessly. After we finalized everything, I was filled with a mix of anticipation and nerves. Despite my doubts, I harbored a hope that this event might mark a new beginning, perhaps even mending our strained family ties. As the party approached, I was busy with work, yet my mind often drifted to the upcoming event. I meticulously checked the order several times to ensure everything was set. However, the day before the party, Maria called confused. "Sophia, I'm puzzled. Your stepmother called to move the delivery to today. Has the date changed?" My heart dropped. "No, it's definitely tomorrow." Maria sounded concerned. "I wanted to double-check with you before making any changes." Grateful, I hung up and immediately dialed Madison, my suspicions now fully alert.
"Hi, Madison.
Just confirming the party is still tomorrow at 8:10 p.m. I managed to keep my voice neutral.
Oh, yes.
"Everything's set for tomorrow. We're looking forward to it," she responded smoothly. After thanking her and hanging up, anger and disbelief shook me. It was clear Madison had attempted to sabotage the delivery, likely hoping I'd miss the party. Taking a deep breath, I called Maria back. "I need to cancel the order," I said, voice tight. "Cancel? But Sophia, it's a lot of food, and it's all paid for." "I know.
Keep the payment as a gift."
"Maybe use the food at the restaurant if you can." After hanging up, I sat back, wrestling with my emotions, betrayed yet resolute. I spoke clearly and with finality to my father, expressing my exhaustion from being sidelined in favor of his partner. I hung up the phone and ended the live stream, my hands trembling, yet my determination unwavering. The deceit and manipulation were now exposed for all to see. Over the next few days, I ignored numerous calls and messages from my father and relatives, taking time to reflect and heal. A week later, my father appeared at my apartment, visibly worn and emotional. "Sophia, I am truly sorry," he confessed. "I've been oblivious, letting Madison dominate everything, and I lost track of what's important. Please, let me try to make amends." Despite my urge to shut him out, his sincere demeanor gave me pause. "It's complicated, Dad. You left me behind," I responded, my voice heavy with emotion. He acknowledged his mistakes, his voice cracking as he pledged to change and be a better father. Tentatively, we started to mend our bond. Dad began to call more often, and we started meeting for coffee, occasionally joined by my younger brother, away from Madison's influence. Meanwhile, Madison became ostracized by our family after her deceit came to light, withdrawing into isolation. As months went by, I found a new normalcy. I devoted myself to my career in marketing, where I ascended the ranks and channeled my past struggles into my creative work. Though the scars within my family run deep and healing will take time, I've started to feel optimistic for the first time in years. I'm embracing life on my terms, nurturing my passions, and gradually opening my heart to love again. From my apartment window, looking out over the city lights, I recall my mother's words, "You're stronger than you think, Sophia." And I'm beginning to believe she was right.